Hello, my friends. Happy Wednesday. Isn't it amazing that we are halfway through the week? I love that so much. We still have a couple people still coming in. We will let them get situated. Let me share my screen. There we go. Got it. Oof. Okay. So now let me know in the chat. Are we better? I've lost the chat. Oh my gosh. Anybody looking to hire a Zoom expert, you know where to find me. All right. We're gonna get going with it because we're 4 minutes into it and it is what it is. So welcome to day 2 of the 5-day masterclass. Feel like yourself again in midlife. I am Lori Reynoldson, the tech master extraordinaire, and I will be leading this masterclass today. Um, let's just dive in. We are on day 2. Today, we're going to talk about the wake up call every high achieving woman gets in midlife. And I got to tell you, I am so fired up for today because this is maybe my favorite topic that we're going to cover. It's not my favorite day, but I just love this topic so much. I've got so much to talk about. I even have a little sticky note here that says slow down because I get so fired up when I talk about this that sometimes I talk a little fast. Okay, today, though, the whole objective is validating what you're feeling in midlife because so often we tend to think, I'm the only one that feels that way. No one else is talking about it. Everyone else seems to have it figured out or dialed in. And that is not exactly the case. We're all experiencing the exact same thing. Real quick before we go on, because we do have, I think, 12 new women raise their hand to join the masterclass after yesterday's session, which is amazing. But remember that we're going to be here live again tomorrow, and then again on Friday, and then again on Monday. Same time, same place. If you are unable to make it live, you can always catch the replays. These you can find those at schoolofmidlife.com/replays. You can find not only a video replay, or you can listen. If you're somebody like me who listens to podcasts and things on the go, click on the private podcast, more than menopause, and you can take the masterclass with you. Listen on the go. All of the replays are going to be available, either video and audio, through January 11th. So that's where you find them if you are not able to join us live. And I get it. Things come up. And honestly, sometimes I am one of those people that I sit through it live, but then I like to listen to it again on my walk because then I pick up something completely different. So just know that they're there and they'll be there through January 11th. For those of you who weren't able to either join us live yesterday, pick up the replay. If you're one of those 10 or 15 people who joined us after yesterday, let's just do a quick day 1 recap. Yesterday, we talked about why you don't feel like yourself in midlife after fixing your midlife body. And we talked about why you might be still feeling a little out of sorts after you've balanced your hormones and you've cleaned up your eating and you've dialed in your exercise routine and you're getting enough sleep and you're cutting back on alcohol. And the list goes on, doesn't it? Because we have this feeling that if we still just don't feel like ourselves, or we're feeling a little out of sorts, or we're not really comfortable in our skin, then we must have to do something more or different. So we keep looking for the next thing out there that is going to make us feel settled and comfortable. And part of that is because we're conditioned to believe that we need to fix something when we feel uncomfortable. And then we talked a lot about they're always marketing to us, aren't they? They're always trying to sell us something. And up until now, we're pretty much buying everything that they've been selling. But like we talked about yesterday, that's not exactly what we need in midlife to address the real issue. Ultimately, And I'm not sure that I said it in these clear words, but we have been looking outside of ourselves for the answers to the questions that we have for so long. That's why we seem to think that the answer that we're looking for to feel like more like ourselves, feel more comfortable in our skin, is something that we need to buy. It's something, a different cream or a filler or a weight regimen, something. It's not that at all. So that is a quick dial in on what we did yesterday. Let's move on to what we're going to cover today. Right after I admit Janice. Okay, today we're going to talk about what's really going on in midlife. Well, this is not the party line, midlife is all about menopause and this is what happens. This is the stuff that really nobody's telling you. And again, we're going to talk all about the midlife experience today in ways that probably you haven't heard before. We're going to talk about the real reason that women worry that they're having a midlife crisis. Going to dive deep into that. And then we're also going to talk about why almost every woman, so across the board, universally, has a midlife experience that it can be a little different, but it's largely the same. We might be experiencing the same things in different times or in different ways, but so much of what we juggle, almost everyone else is feeling it too. So with that, let's get going. I don't know about you, but when I am stressed out or when I'm thinking a lot about things, I tend to wake up in the middle of the night. And usually it's between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why that is. Am I the only one that wakes up between 2 or 3? And then, your brain just starts going with, oh, and then I have to do this, and then I have to do that. And you start thinking about all these things before you're able to go back to sleep. And my question for you is, are you thinking about how many total grams of protein did I eat today? Or it's Wednesday. Did I remember to change my hormone patch this morning? Or are you thinking, I skipped the gym to cover that last meeting at work. Is that going to tank my workout goals for the week? Maybe you're thinking, am I lifting heavy enough weights to get the best results from the strength training I'm doing? Maybe the thing that's keeping you up, can't get back to sleep, is did I drink enough water today? Any of these resonate? No, of course they don't. That's not what you're thinking about at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's not what wakes you up from a deep sleep. It's more nuanced than that. It's bigger questions like, I have everything I always thought I ever wanted. Now what? What am I supposed to do now? I'm at the pinnacle of my career. So where do I go from here? I have the job and the house and the kids and the 401k. But what's next for me? The kids have graduated and just moved out, and I'm feeling a little lost. I mean, I've been spending so much time raising kids. So who am I now? What am I supposed to do now? Feels like I'm just going through the motions of my marriage. Can we get the spark back? Or is it time to move on? These are big, heavy questions, right? It feels like something is missing in my life, but I don't know what it is. Why can't I just be happy with everything I have? What is wrong with me? Do any of these resonate? I mean, these feel like when I talk to the women that I coach, these are the things that we're worried about at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. This isn't just, sorry, my chat keeps jumping around here. This isn't just one person having it. This is almost across the board. This is what keeps us up at night. Related to that, I'm going to read 8 different statements. And if these resonate with you, I want you to let me know in the chat. And I also want you to kind of keep track of how many of the 8 sound like you, or if you kind of resonate with you, feel like they're sort of describing your experience. I've accomplished a lot in my life, and I still have this quiet feeling that something's missing. From the outside, my life From the outside, my life looks good, but inside, I'm not totally sure what's next for me. I have interests, ideas, and dreams, but no clear sense of how they fit into my real life or any of these resonating. Most days I'm busy and productive, but not always deeply fulfilled. I've been very focused on my career, on my family, and my responsibilities, and now I'm craving something more meaningful. Some of what I once wanted doesn't quite fit anymore, but I'm not sure what replaces it. I want to be around women who are smart, accomplished, and also quietly asking bigger questions about their lives. I sometimes wonder what my life would look like if I chose it more intentionally. And here's the big part, without the guilt, the pressure, or the apologies. I think a lot of times when we do decide to make some big decisions for our life or head in a different direction or just make a damn decision that aligns with who we are, we feel a little guilty about that. We feel like we're letting people down. And that's not it at all. It's all about communication. It's all about letting people know what you need in that relationship from them. And you just maybe need it for yourself too. There are so many of these that resonated. I mean, I'm seeing number 4, number 1, number 2, number 5, number 7. Yes, these are the things that we are feeling as midlife women. What's interesting though is it's not random. There is a pattern here to what we're feeling. And what's even perhaps more interesting, well, I think it's interesting anyway, is that when women hit midlife, many assume that our restlessness or that questioning that we're doing, we feel like that's personal, that we also have to be the ones to push through it, fix it, double down, work harder, do more, suffer in silence a little bit. But when you zoom out, something else becomes a lot clearer. And that is the questions that you're asking, that desire for change, that sense that maybe success looks a little different now to you than it did before. Those feelings are not isolated. You are not the only one having those feelings. They're showing up everywhere and they're supported by data. I love numbers. This is what I'm talking about. Harvard, yes, that Harvard did a adult development study. So this is an 85-year-old study on happiness, and it shows that people experience their most significant identity restructuring between the ages of 40 and 60. Okay? So they're saying midlife is this development milestone. It's not a crisis, it's a development milestone. And the study went on to find that those who consciously reevaluate their lives, so ones who are always making decisions, maybe even trying new things because what was once working isn't working any longer, those people report higher well-being, higher life satisfaction, lower regret, and greater joy in the second half of life. Can I get an amen on a Wednesday? The fact that you are here trying to sort through some of these feelings that you have, that means that you are treating midlife as a development milestone. You are someone who is always looking to level up your life. So kudos to you. The good thing about that is you should experience, if the study is correct, higher well-being, higher life satisfaction, lower regret, and greater joy in the second half of your life. Let's go. A lot of us are facing some kind of career or job changes as well. A 2023 study from Indeed found that women ages 45 to 54 are changing careers at the highest rate of any group. Study also found that 58% of the workers in that same age group are considering a career change. So even if they haven't done it yet, over almost 60% are considering a change. Nearly 1 in 3 women in midlife have already changed careers in the past 2 years. And this part completely floored me. Here are the top reasons: burnout, lack of purpose, wanting more flexibility, and realizing that success needs to look different now. What's missing from this list? Anyone? Drop it in the chat. I would say what's missing is money. Like the women don't seem to be worried about money. I mean, yes, we all want to pay the bills. Nobody wants to go hungry. We need a place to live, but we are not changing careers for financial gains. A lot of us are in a spot where we're good. Like I said, we're not going to go hungry. We're not worried about our house, but we are worried about burning out. We're worried about ending our life with a lack of purpose. Like Natasha says, we want to finally pursue a passion. We want more flexibility. We want to realize that what we thought was success when in our 20s and 30s, it looks a little different now. And by and large, large groups of women in that age range are changing careers because of it. The US workforce data also supports this, that these midlife career shifts are a national trend. Workers over 50, and that's especially women, in fact, especially women over 50, 34% more likely to be laid off than their younger mid-career counterparts. So in the Indeed study, those were career changes oftentimes that we decided we wanted. These are career shifts that maybe we didn't even see coming. We have been loyal employees. We've been there for a while. We've been helping out the bottom line. And then all of a sudden we find ourselves laid off after 50. And then listen to this. Women over 50 who are laid off experience the longest re-employment times of any demographic. So we find ourselves without a job, and then we have a hard time getting a new job. And this is not because we're less capable, but it's because industries are undergoing restructuring. So, we hear a lot about AI, we hear a lot about outsourcing, we hear a lot about fractional career jobs, job share. They might be making it so that it's hard for us to find the same employment somewhere else. But maybe we're not actually looking to be reemployed, right? Because we have this chronic burnout and we're tired of having a case of the Sundays every single Sunday. And we're tired of giving out our best years to someone who maybe just might lay us off again. A lot of women over 50 who find themselves unemployed are also dealing with these sandwich era roles. So you probably know what I'm talking about when I talk about sandwich era, but you're trying to parent your kids and trying to parent your parents. Everybody is kind of needing our attention and our assistance at exactly the same time. And so instead of going back to work, we take a step back so that we can work in a more of a caregiving responsibility and a caregiving capacity. Change is also happening in the home. Gray divorce, which is divorce over 50, that's on the rise. In fact, it's doubled since 1990. And for women 55 to 64, it has tripled, which is also interesting because across the board, the divorce rate is going down. We're kind of evening out. The gray divorce, though, continues to be on the rise. Women initiate approximately 70% of divorces, and in midlife, that number is even higher. And the number one reason cited for divorce, gray divorce, I want something more for the rest of my life. It's not money. It's not infidelity. It's not conflict in the marriage. It's I want something more for the rest of my life. I found this really interesting too, that women are searching for something new. They are the fastest growing segment. So women 45 to 64, the fastest growing segment of people relocating for lifestyle reasons. Since 2020, midlife women have outpaced all other demographics in moves relating to starting fresh, downsizing, which I actually like to call right sizing, seeking community, access to nature, lower stress and well being. So, if you've been feeling a little itchy to make a change in midlife, you are not alone. The data proves it. There are other forces at play here, too. When we think about why does this all hit in midlife, there are really two main reasons why. One is conditioning and societal programming. The other is the unique female experience. Let's dive into both of those. When we talk about conditioning, when we talk about societal programming, there are three pieces that I want you to consider. Number one, women are expected to take care of everyone and everything. We take care of the family, we take care of the home. That includes raising up our own kids, taking care of our aging and ailing parents, that whole sandwich generation. We take care of the grocery orders and the dinners and the Amazon orders. We schedule the doctor's appointments and the travel arrangements. And this is all in addition to our work responsibilities. So we've been taking care of everyone and everything for a long time, and we do it because it's kind of expected of us. That's the conditioning that we were raised with. That's what society tells us our greatest value is, that we should do it, and we should do it selflessly, which relates to the number two. Women are believed to, that we're raised to believe that focusing on ourselves is selfish. We're taught that women should sacrifice themselves and their time for the good of the family. We were taught that women who focus on themselves, they're selfish. Now, that's of course different than what the airlines tell us to do, which is put our oxygen mask on first. But we're not in an airplane all the time. So we were raised with this idea that women who focus on themselves are selfish, that they're self-absorbed. And that message, that is something that we learned at home, at school, at church, at Girl Scouts, literally everywhere we went. We were taught our worth is in how we show up and work on behalf of others. We're also taught that women are also taught to associate our worth with achievement. Here's what I mean by that. Think about when you were young and you would earn good grades. Then you probably got a dinner out, right? Or you won a soccer game. You go out to pizza to celebrate. If you booked the role in the school play, maybe you'd get a standing ovation and some flowers at the curtain call. What this meant was a lot of us learned early on that our achievement was a way for us to get noticed. We got noticed at school, we got noticed at home. Sometimes we actually felt like that was the only way that our parents would approve of us or would make us feel loved, or, that we were somehow worthy of love and approval. And that led to this whole idea that was ingrained in us a long, long time ago, that our value and our worth was somehow linked to our achievement and success. That's only one reason why this is happening in midlife. The other reason is the uniqueness of the female experience. When a woman has a midlife crisis, and I'm using crisis in quotes there for the people who are listening on the audio replay, a woman's midlife crisis is an inside job, right? It's very obvious when men go through midlife transition, because a lot of times they buy a sports car, they might dye their hair, they start hitting the gym. They might even partner up with a younger secretary. I know that these are all very generalizations. A lot of them are true. But it's different for women. When women go through this midlife angsty period, we keep it bottled up. We don't tell anybody. We don't broadcast it that we're experiencing it. We start asking ourselves some big life questions that maybe we've never asked before. And then we start feeling guilty for asking them. And layer on this whole shame of wanting more when we already have so much. It becomes this inside job. So we just kind of suffer away in silence and just hope that it's going to pass. Add to that the whole fact that our bodies are changing. So physically, we absolutely don't even feel like ourselves. I, all of these big life questions that we're asking ourselves all coincides, of course, with our hormonal shifts. We literally feel different. We're not sleeping well. We're experiencing brain fog, weight gain, hot flashes. I mean, at least we're talking about it. Our mothers, the generation before us and the generation before them, we, for the most part, don't have any idea about their menopausal experience because no one talked about it. At least we're finally bringing these issues front and center. We're having some conversations about it. But who do we tell? Who do we tell when our partners oftentimes are like, "What's wrong with you? Why can't you be happy? What happened here?" Well, we don't feel like we can express that. We feel guilty. We feel some shame. And the real ringer about it is now we can't even go out and have wine with our girlfriends because of that 2-day headache and the night sweats and that awful sleep disruption. So, you know, it is what it is. But we've got so much of the programming. We've got this uniqueness of the female experience. And then there is one thing else that doesn't really get talked about a lot. That's what I call the hidden shift in midlife. Let's walk through that. Our identity has been so tied by the roles that we have played in our life up until now. For most of us, we've been somebody's mother. And that doesn't have to be a human child. I have a 4-legged child and I think he's fantastic, but we find ourselves in these mothering and caretaking roles. We were always somebody's daughter from the jump. Well, now maybe our parents are sick, maybe they've passed on, and we start wondering, who am I if I'm not somebody's daughter? Maybe we're being asked to step up in a way to actually parent those parents who shepherded us through life, who raised us up. That role, that identity of daughter is changing. And the role of wife. If we find ourselves in midlife and we are still married to the person that we married in, 20 or 30 years ago, even though we're still in that marriage, oftentimes that marriage looks different. And it should. We are different people than we were 20 or 30 years ago. And then, of course, we have our career. We are a career woman, or we are the CEO of our household, or whatever job title you have given yourself. That role probably looks different now. If you work outside of the home, you're probably not in the hustle anymore. You've actually likely worked yourself up to the part of the career where you don't have to hustle for the next promotion. You're either just in line for it or they ask you. Like somebody says, "Hey, we're considering you for this position. What do you think about that?" Maybe you're thinking about retirement. Maybe you're getting to the end of your working career, but you also know, you know what? I don't want to spend my free time playing pickleball and mahjong. If you play pickleball and mahjong all day and you are satisfied with that, that is great. I'm not trying to hit on pickleball or mahjong, but a lot of us are trying to feel differently. We want to feel like ourselves again, but it's really hard because so much of our identity has been tied to the roles that we have played in the lives of others. Does this make sense? Or are any of you feeling this? Because it's pervasive. So much of what we did to get to this point, so much of who we are, it's changing at this point in our lives. Which leads us questioning this whole idea of, who am I now? Who am I outside of the roles that I've always filled? Is there something wrong with me? I mean, who am I now? And that is the biggest issue that midlife women have. And what happens when we are feeling a shift, or we're feeling a little uncomfortable, or we don't feel comfortable? We then start clinging to the familiar. which means we get busy. We do a lot of the things that we have done before. We start going back to that adulting checklist, the one that told us to go to school, get a job, get married, buy a house, have kids, earn promotions, work until retirement. We start sliding back into the things that we know we're good at. We are good at working. We are good at being mothers. We are good at providing for everyone else. Why don't we feel, though, the way that we thought we would feel when we got to midlife? And because we're not really feeling like we thought we would, then we just get busier. The problem with the checklist, though, is yes, it adds time to we adds more to our to-do list, our daily to-do list. Problem, though, is it doesn't really answer who are we or what is it that we actually want. It only answers what can we do? What can I do? Like, look at me do all of this stuff. How many of you remember the game of life? If you do, if you played the game of life when you were young, drop it in the chat. I loved the game of life. I don't know if it was the rainbow colors on the board or the rainbow colors in the spinning thing, but I just thought I thought it was so much fun. Monopoly to me felt a little boring, which is interesting because I worked in commercial real estate for so long, but there was something about the game of life that I loved. For those of you who played the game of life, can you tell me what the first choice you had to make in the game of life was? Drop it in the chat if you know, if you remember. I just lost my chat here. Buy a house? Nope. Buy a car? Not quite. What your career was? No. All good guesses. All good guesses. Here is the first choice you had to make. What color car do you want to drive around the board? What color car? And then every other decision in your life was based on the spin of the wheel or the cards that you drew. So the salary card, the career card, the stock card. You landed on a square, it said buy a house. You landed on this, you got married. You drew a card, you had 3 kids. The only choice that we had to make, that we were able to make in the game of life, was what color car we were going to drive around the board. And then the way that you won the game of life was to get to the end with the most money. Retire first with the most money. So my friends, I ask you, for those of us who grew up playing the game of life, is it any surprise that we doubled down on this success or adulting checklist to go to school, get a job, have some kids, get married, buy a house, in whatever order that happened, work until retirement, hopefully with the most money? This is what we were taught to do. This is how we spent our free time when we were young, which was plotting how are we going to get through this map, this game board, the fastest with the most money. And none of it relates to how we were feeling or what we wanted to do. There were no extra detours to go, see the largest ball of string in the United States or the biggest tree or take surfing lessons or learn a new language. No, it was all, how can I get from where I am now to retirement the faster than anybody else before I die, but with the most money? So here we are in midlife and we're winning at the game of life, but are we actually winning? Because on paper, we've done everything right. Absolutely everything right. But I'm telling you that there is more to life than what we were taught. There is more to life than having a job and a house and a family. We also have the retirement accounts. We've got money in the bank. We are literally winning at the game of life by the rules of the game of life. And I think you would agree that there's more to life than a job and a house and a family and the bank accounts. In fact, the three things across the board that they say that midlife women say they are looking for: fulfillment, satisfaction, and happiness. There is no square that you can land on the game of life that gives you fulfillment, satisfaction, happiness. You can't spin the wheel. You can't win the lottery. All of these are inside jobs. You have to know what fulfillment means to you. You have to know what is going to make you feel satisfied. You have to know what is going to make you feel happy. And yes, money can buy some experiences that will make us happy. But if you are just looking to get more money in your bank account, I think you're missing the plot. The other thing that women our age, so if you are a Gen Xer, I'm a proud Gen Xer, we're a resilient group. We were raised with this idea that women could have it all. Any of you remember that Angeli perfume commercial? I can bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan, and never let you forget you are a man. I was looking at that online recently, and the clothes in it are amazing. But, um, I can bring home the bacon. She shows up in her very 80s skirt suit, and then she is making dinner in this, she's got her khakis on and like a peach shirt, maybe. And then she's like this tigress cat in her, but I'm not going to let you forget that you're a man. I mean, all of that happens in a day. So we're raised with this idea that we can have it all. And for most of us, we took that as a challenge, which is, I must do it all, which meant for many of us, if you're about my age, you became a generation of box checkers. Did I do that? Yes. People pleasers. How can I make you happy today? I will do whatever needs to be done to make you happy at my own expense. And we were also raised to be achievement junkies. Look at my gold star. Look at what I did. Clap for me. It is this constant cycle of do more. Feel like you think you're going to feel a different way after you do the thing. You feel like they're going to clap a little louder for you. And once you get there and you do the thing and they clap and then they're on to the next, then you think, you know what? I got to work harder. I got to double down. What is the next bigger thing that I should do? So it's this constant battle of bigger, more, next, and we're on to it's a cycle. We just can't get out of it. We land in midlife with more questions than answers. Like, if I've done everything I was supposed to do, why don't I feel like I expected to feel? Or I have everything I always thought I wanted, and I still feel like there's something missing. What's next for me? Or why can't I just be happy with everything I have? We start asking, will I ever feel like myself again? How about this one? When did I stop being fun? You think about what's next for me because, oh, here we go. I'm not ready to retire and play pickleball all day, but I really don't know what I want to do. And then we're grappling. If you were here yesterday and you did the magic squares exercise with me, if you weren't here yesterday, I would definitely go back, listen to probably about an hour into the replay, do that exercise. It's really profound. But we start thinking about, is it too late for me? I mean, maybe I should just stay in my job or career or relationship or city, whatever it is, for the rest of my life. Like, I made my bed, now I got to lie in it. Nope, that's not true at all. The beautiful thing about making your bed is you can always order new linens. You can change what the bed is. You can change what the bed is that you're lying in. You can even buy a whole new mattress if you want. When we don't feel like we thought we would, and all of a sudden we start asking ourselves these big life questions that we never did before, then we start worrying that we're having a midlife crisis. For many of us, midlife is that moment we start pushing back, that moment that we actually find our voice and we start speaking up. When we were young, we were taught if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. So we were quiet. Not in midlife, not anymore. We're finding our voice and we're speaking up and we're starting to question everything. And honestly, here's another thing that nobody tells you, that is uncomfortable for a lot of people around us, especially people in our inner circle who have relied on us doing all of the things for them. So, what happens sometimes, which we aren't expecting, is instead of getting the support that we think we're going to get from them, oftentimes we're met with questions like, why can't you just be happy? Or why are you so irritable today? How about this one? Why can't you just go back to the way you were? And when the people closest to us start noticing that we're changing and they don't seem terribly supportive of it, then we begin to, again, internalize this idea that there's something wrong with us. And when we're suffering in silence, then we sort of resign ourselves to this idea that, well, this must be the midlife crisis everybody was talking about. It must be just something I need to get through. I'm sure it will pass. That brings me to the midlife math equation. Remember, we were talking about those big shifts in our identity, the mother, the daughter, and the wife. We've got a lot of changes going on. We've got a shift in our professional roles in our career. So when we get to midlife and we take, anybody remember math? The order of operations? We do the things in the parentheses first. We have those identity shifts. We're going to add to that the physical changes that come with perimenopause and menopause. And then we're going to multiply that over time because we still think that, you know what, this will pass. I can just push through this. So we stay stuck with these physical changes and identity shifts, and we just stay in that over time. And that's why we think we're having a midlife crisis. So the math here is those identity shifts plus the physical changes multiplied by time. That can potentially create a midlife crisis. But for our word friends out there, do you know what a crisis is? A crisis is a period of intense difficulty, trouble, or danger. So I ask you, is what you are experiencing in midlife, is it a crisis? I guess it's probably not. It's an intense period of something, but is it difficulty or trouble or danger? Probably not. What if it's important that we choose our words carefully. So what if we called midlife an opportunity, which is a set of circumstances that makes it possible to do something? We could call midlife a turning point, which is a point, as in an action or a situation or a lifetime, where an important change occurs. Could be the sweet spot, an optimum point, or combination of factors or qualities. Midlife could be referred to as a reset, to set again differently. Maybe it's an inflection point, a time of significant change in a situation, a turning point. Do any of these resonate with you more than being a crisis? I love the idea of it being an opportunity. I love the idea of midlife being a reset. This whole idea that it's a crisis, I feel like this is just patriarchal verbiage, speak, conditioning for the women are changing. So we gotta put them back in their place. We gotta tell them to stay small and stay quiet. We're just telling them they're having a crisis, and they'll buy it because they want to make things comfortable for us. They don't want to rock the boat, so it's a crisis. But no, it's so much more than that. I have studied the midlife experience for years, and I've coached hundreds of high performing women through it. And what I will tell you is that midlife is not a crisis per se, but it can become a crisis, a period of intense difficulty or trouble. I don't actually ever think it has to do with danger, but I think it can become a crisis if we don't actually take the time to figure out some things for ourselves. This is what I mean by that. If we continue to live each day, each week, each year with the conditioning that we must place ourselves behind everyone and everything else in our life. So we have to do for everybody else because remember back to the conditioning. If we do for ourselves, then we're selfish. We don't like that. So if we take that conditioning and we double down on this idea that in order to feel worthy, we need to continue to be achieving. And then we add to that this idea that we're going to continue working and achieving until we get to the burnout, because we all do at some point. I mean, think about when you work hard on a project and you put all of your time and attention and energy into it, what almost happens without fail? You get sick, don't you? Because your body's like, wait a minute. Remember me? We have to take care of me. We've only got one of me. And then we just start again. We start because we don't feel like ourselves. We don't feel comfortable in where we are. We keep asking these big questions. We just think, I must have to work harder. I must have to achieve bigger. I must have to work myself to more exhaustion. And it just keeps going around and around and around. If you find yourself in that cycle, that might be a crisis. That might be an intense period of trouble. I would invite you to step outside of that, to understand that your worth is not tied to who you are in the lives of other people. Your value is not tied to what you are achieving. You don't have to work yourself to burnout to prove yourself. That is when actual midlife crisis can happen. So I'm going to leave you with this today. Midlife isn't a crisis. It is a time when we start to think that something's wrong with us. There is nothing wrong with you. We resign ourselves to believing that it's a crisis. It is not. We think that midlife is just something that we need to get through, that it will pass. And that, to me, I feel like that is almost avoiding the gift that is midlife. Because it's not a crisis. It's an opportunity. It's an invitation. And that invitation is to design your life with clarity, to live with your whole heart, to stop waiting until the time is perfect and just begin. Midlife is this invitation to live a life that feels good to you as the woman you are in this season of life, not the one you were in 20 or 30 years ago when you made some of the big decisions about how you were going to live your life. Who am I going to marry? Where am I going to live? What am I going to do for a job? Am I going to have kids? Those kind of decisions. They got you to where you are here today, but who are you in this season of life? Midlife can be this invitation because it allows you to build a life that aligns with your core values so that you can become the woman that you were always meant to be. Tomorrow, we are going to talk about what got you here isn't going to get you there. This is all about, we made a bunch of decisions when we were young. We made a bunch of choices when we were young. Are they still serving us or not? And that's what we're going to focus on tomorrow. Remember, replays are available. If you want to listen to this again, you can find it, the video replay, or you can click on the audio private podcast replay. Those can be found at schoolofmidlife.com/replays. With that, we are done for the day. I will stop sharing my screen. What was your favorite aha? Did you have any takeaways or breakthroughs from today? I would love it if you would drop them in the chat. And if you have to go, make it a great day. I'll see you back here tomorrow.